Within Fry Audio Diary, the 5th of February 2017. And I have walked, that's why I'm maybe puffing and panting and sniffing slightly. I do apologise, because I've just walked up to the top of Juniper Hill. And Juniper Hill overlooks Painswick. It also overlooks, if I look down the valley, there's Bristol, where I spent a large part of my childhood. If I look across to my right into Wales, that's where my daughters spent a large part of their childhood. 17 years we lived there. And I look down at Painswick, which is where I live now, and the little valley where I live now, and I'm very content to be here. And I'm particularly content to be up here today because I'm just catching the last rays of the sun. Well, the only rays of the sun, actually, because it's been a cloudy day today. Not particularly cold, not particularly warm either. But the cloud layer has been a bit thick. But as the sun sets onto the west, I suppose, then it's coming through. It's coming through the clouds very slightly, and so actually everything looks really lovely. And this is my favouriteest place of all to be around here. I just love it up here, partly because of those views which remind me so much of so much, but also because it's a lovely spot. There's a gentle breeze blowing, which you might be able to hear in the microphone. The 1st of February is, I believe, according to the Celtic calendar, the 1st of spring, the Celtic 1st of spring. And I've noticed this year, and also in previous years, that the seasons here in the UK, well, certainly here in Painswick, where I live in the UK, the seasons seem to correspond much more accurately to the Celtic calendar than to the whatever it is calendar that we follow. So March the 21st would be our so-called first day of spring, and my birthday, I hasten to add, if any of you are saving for a present. But somehow early February seems much more spring-like. In the garden we've got quite a huge carpet of snowdrops already. There will be loads more. And the aconites, the little yellow starry flowered aconites, are coming up around the cherry tree. Daffodils are beginning to push buds through. And all the birds are going crazy. And it just feels so much more spring-like than it did a few weeks ago, even though the weather hasn't exactly been clement. The birds, I've been having a bit of a St. Francis a few days. You know, St. Francis, who was renowned for his love of animals, and especially birds. And there's the story that while he was out walking in the forest one day, he came between some hunters with their bows and arrows in those days, some hunters and a deer. And as one of the hunters launched its arrow towards the deer, so he put up his hand, and the arrow went into his hand, and the deer skittled off to safety. It's a great story, isn't it? And so, yeah, just because of the birds, I've seen, with the robin, on our bird table, there's one robin in the morning. I put out some wild bird food for them, and there's one little robin who always seems to be there waiting for breakfast, and who is very, very nearly getting brave enough to come and rest on my hand and peck at the seed in the palm of my hand. I put my hand with the seed in on the bird table to try and tempt him, and he's getting closer and closer. And this morning he fluttered up and had a look, and then quickly thought, oh my goodness, what am I doing? I fluttered away again. I've seen falcons, I've seen a heron, I've seen a bullfinch. Bullfinch, I think, are quite rare. Chaffinches galore. Nuthatches, they're quite rare. They come to our bird table, and they particularly like sunflower seed, I think. And, of course, big old fat-looking pigeons. And the moorhens are coming up from the stream. And there's a big squirrel who comes along most days and helps himself. And I remember in the past I used to shoo him away, actually, because I thought, no, that's for the birds, you can go and get your own. But then I thought, well, hang on a minute, you know, he gets hungry as well, and he's a biggest chap, so he needs a lot more food than the little robin. So I don't mind him being there. Oh dear, yeah. And another St. Francis moment. When I was out jogging the other day, I run past a ram in the field, all on his lonesome this time of year, and I call him Aries. And sometimes he'll come over. Well, if I call his name, he'll come over, and he likes a bit of a cuddle around the ears and on his forehead. And the other day when I saw him, he was limping really, really badly. And so I told Jonquil, our neighbour, our landlady, because she knows the farmer and the telephone number of the farmer, and she telephoned the farmer and told him. But I noticed today, when I came up today, that, and I have seen the farmer there down at the field, but I noticed today that Aries is still very badly limping, so I hope the farmer has done something for him. Oh, and sadly, on the way up here, I saw a dead pheasant, in the hedgerow, not far from a road, only a tiny, not a busy road by any means, but yeah, he looked youngish, and I don't know whether he had been grazed by a car and then just managed to limp the sort of 12 foot or so away from the road that I saw him. But that seems sad too. And all his finery. Sometimes actually we do get a pheasant. Wow, we used to have a pheasant. Oh dear, I hope it's not the same one. I wouldn't have thought he'd roam up this far. We used to have a pheasant that came to the bird table. I used to call him Phil. because I'm barking mad. But there you go. There we go. I've rambled on long enough and ummed and ahed long enough. I'm just gonna have a few more moments of the sun. It's still got probably a good hour to go, I reckon, before going down behind the hills. And just over there, I can just about, in the distance, more or less under the sun, I can see the Severn estuary that is very misty. And down there, the Severn Bridge, which must be about, goodness, I'm not sure, 10 miles away? Anyway, that's enough from me. So, thank you very much for being here on Juniper Hill with me.